morning,
Yay!
everyone. Oh, my goodness. Sandy is back 2 weeks in a row that we have
I'm
Sandy
telling
here on
you.
Author
Oh my
I
Talk.
know it's going to
God.
ruin our whole time schedule. Having
Oh,
Sandy.
I love it. Oh, my gosh. But you guys
My
listening to
goal
Author
in life
Talk.
is to ruin your schedule, Russell.
Oh, Russell. Russell obviously is here. Sandy's joining us. Our lovely author guest today is TD. So, you guys, let's talk about the weekend, right? That's how we always jump in. Let's do it. I know I'm going to get a lot of crap from Russell, so let's just dive into it. I went to my mother's this weekend. I guess on Wednesday, I went to my mom's and I came back Saturday. And then the girls had
What, you have a
double.
fight with your husband?
No, I'm going to tell you why in a minute. I'm just putting it off because I know you're going to give me crap, okay? And then my girls had double birthday parties. So they had 2 birthday parties they had to go to on Saturday. So we drove back Saturday morning and started birthday partying from 1 to like 7, right? But I took off and went to my mom's to visit my mom and my sisters and everything. But so Josh could paint my kitchen, okay? Because I'm painting my house and with my kids around, it was really difficult. We couldn't navigate that whole waters and we didn't want to have paint everywhere, on our floors and everything. So I took the kids and I went to visit my mom. I'm probably going to do the same thing coming up this week also so he can finish painting, but he's made a friend at the gym that's going to help him hopefully paint my house. But that is what I did. I birthday
So,
partied it up.
I know you inspected his painting when you
I
got
did.
back because you're hypercritical. Did it meet your approval?
Most of it did.
No, the
Yes.
answer is no. Then see, TD, you see, I know these people.
Most of it did, okay?
No is the answer.
PD, we've been doing this for 8 years, and so yes, we know
Hey,
each other.
there's some parts I'm really picky when it comes to the ceiling and the wall, like meeting and having that crisp
Yeah,
line.
there's some
I
parts she's really
I
picky.
don't like either one. I don't like because we're painting our ceiling white. I don't like the white on the green, and I don't like the green on the white. Right? Like you got to cut that. Like I'm very picky, and I will notice those things. Or if the line isn't straight, I'm very anal about those certain things. Right?
Yeah, she is
Joshua is
very.
Joshua is my husband to an extent. He is. But probably not as hard as I am because it will bother me where when he's at work, I will fix it. I haven't had time to do that because I'm trying to get the rest of the house ready so he can paint while I'm gone again. But it was a great job that he did by himself, and it's wonderful and it's done
Okay,
and it makes
there's
me
more to this story, TD.
happy.
Okay, when they first started doing this stuff in this kitchen, which I warned her as a divorce attorney not to do because quickest way to get a divorce
He
is to
did.
try to redo your house or redo your house together is even worse. They actually did, and it came to a point where he wasn't doing it right while they were working together, and she like kicked him out of the kitchen.
We were doing backsplash. Okay, there's always a
See,
backstory. We were doing the backsplash, okay? And my husband is very much he will kind of just take over,
he's
right?
kind of
Like
brilliant, though. I
he's
mean, this
brilliant.
is a
My husband is
brilliant man.
brilliant. But he will just kind of take over and then I'm stuck doing like the crap work that you don't want to do and like, it's most people would say, like his errand boy kind of thing and I don't like that. Like if we're going to do it together, I want to also help and do cool stuff and not just pick your tools and clean up, right? So I did kick him out of the kitchen for a little bit when that happened. But the painting, I wasn't here. I took one for the team because I love to paint, and I took the kids to visit my mom and did that 2.5 hour drive. And I don't like road trips, let alone by myself with the kids is extremely difficult for me if I don't time it where they're going to sleep in the car. Like I just hate it. We had to stop at Buc-ee's. I hate bathroom stops. Like I'm one that I want to get in the car and not stop till we get there. Like I just I'm now that I listen to myself, I'm very anal about a lot of things and I don't like it. So I'm really not this way about most things, but
Amy,
This
you're
house
using.
would this house would drive you nuts.
yes.
Amy uses.
You would be in a puddle in the floor somewhere. You just sitting there rocking back and forth. This house would drive you
Oh.
nuts.
No, no, I'm really laid back. I promise. It's just certain things that really drive me
She is
bonkers.
not laid back, TD. Let me tell you one thing. Don't ever cross Amy. Don't ever cross her. There's nothing laid back about Amy.
Now that I am
This
very,
all this sweet, facade is not that sweet.
You
I'm
know,
just
Russell,
saying.
this has to have something to do with you too, because I've known Amy since she was in college,
I'm
over
very
10
nice.
years, and
It's
she
like
and I have
15
never,
now.
huh?
It's like 15 now.
Yeah, we've never had a disagreement of any kind.
No.
So,
Me and Sandy are besties. I don't know what y'all be's talking about, but I'm a very nice person. I just don't
There are so
like.
many jokes I could say over the two of you
Oh
being
my gosh.
besties.
Anyways, TD, I feel like I have to defend my character, and then we're gonna bounce everybody else in their weekend to get Russell's hatred off of me. But
yes,
no,
can I talk about my weekend anytime?
If it's short,
you can, but no, I am a very nice person. I give you one chance. If you burn it again, then I'm out. Like that's just how I am, but I'm very nice about it. I don't,
yeah,
I'm very
Josh has to
nice.
walk a thin line his
He
whole
does. My
freaking
husband
life.
walks a very thin line. That's for
I
sure.
would drive you nuts. I fancy myself a handyman, but I'm not very good at it. I know just enough to be dangerous.
There
And
you
I'm
go.
even worse. My wife has always said she wishes she had a second husband so she could have a man around the house to fix shit.
Oh
Did,
my
did you hear
goodness.
him say he's a divorce attorney, Dee?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I did
Mm-hmm.
hear that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sandy, what
So
did you do this weekend?
well, you know how I love my grandchildren. So I have a granddaughter who teaches school um in over near Austin, and she came in and spent the weekend with me. So we had a great time. Spent Saturday in the pool, and then Sunday went to brunch at this place called Coco's Waffles and Crepes.
Nice. Was it good?
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful food. So anyway, I had a great weekend with my granddaughter, with Brittany. So Brittany, love you.
I love it. TD, what did you do?
Honestly, I didn't do a whole lot. Saturday was pretty much a chill day. Just sat around the house, watched some TV. And then Sunday was laundry day. I did laundry all day Sunday.
Wow.
Nice. I hate laundry will be the death of me. I'm good at washing it, but folding it and putting it away is awful. It will be the death of me.
Yeah, we haven't got to the put away part yet, but it's all folded.
Yeah, see, I never get to the put away part myself. It's like,
I'm so shocked.
Oh, Russell, what did you do?
So we flew out
Russell,
of
do
it.
you do laundry?
Yes, I've always done my own laundry. It's a matter of principle.
I'm
So
shocked. I'm
so
shocked.
uh, we flew out of Atlanta to Houston at midnight Thursday night. Went to a big party of our friends in Houston on Friday night, which one of the ladies actually mentioned the author that we're going to talk about that hit it big on TikTok and
Nice.
asked me about it. Uh, Spent the next couple of days with the grandkids. Then at 7 a.m., got on a plane Sunday morning to fly back to Georgia.
Wow.
So it's a
I'm
great
just
weekend.
shocked that you were up at midnight. I'm asleep. I'm like unconscious by like 10.
I
I'm
do.
tired.
Right. Well, I mean, we're old people, and we were at a party till 1 o'clock in Houston on Friday night. It was a great party. Uh, ev- I was able to torture like a whole room of people at the same time. There's nothing I like better than that.
Oh my goodness, those poor people. Those poor people.
Anyway, it
Mm.
was great. I want to thank the people that listen to us on the podcast. TD, we're top 10 independent bookcast in America to our shock. We want to thank everyone that listens to us during the week on our podcast channels. Amy, how do they find us?
Yes, so you can find us anywhere that you can look for a podcast. Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, Good Pods, all of those. You can listen to us. Now, if you want to watch us live in time, we do go live on YouTube, all of my social media channels, and in our Facebook group that we have on Facebook. So feel free to jump on over there. I always say this, and it is true, especially now. we control what comes out of our mouth, but not our facial expressions. I am very animated. I talk a lot with my hands, and my facial expressions say it all. So if you want a good chuckle and laugh, or to be a part of the conversation, you can comment live in time with us. We show them on the screen. Or if you have questions, we love engaging and interacting with everybody. And we love and appreciate all of you. Like Russell said, we're very humbled and we're just shocked because we thoroughly enjoy doing this. It was Russell's idea to start it almost 8 years ago, and we have enjoyed it and talked to so many amazing people, publishers, writers, just the writing community as a whole. So it's been so much fun to continue to do it and just love Monday mornings at 10 a.m. like I do. But Sandy, I know that you were talking about the video Russell just mentioned a minute ago, and he talked about it last week about this author that was at Kroger, part of the Kroger program. And I know that there's like an update. I'm dying to know. Russell made you not talk before, so please tell us.
Well, I was
Sandy,
so excited.
Sandy, tell the first part of the story
I
that
will.
people hadn't heard yet.
So, Russell brought to our attention last week an article, and actually a television clip about this author who was in a Kroger store. Kroger's one of our chain grocery stores, if you're not familiar, TD. He was sitting in there, and years ago, we worked out a deal with Kroger that authors could go in and sign books and get paid directly from Kroger. So this guy was part of that program, is sitting there, and I can tell you that for most authors, it is a fruitless thing to do because most people going into Kroger do not go in there to buy books. And so therefore they walk right past the author. And so here was this author sitting there. And this was all in the original story, sitting there, and a guy came in with a camera who does TikTok videos. And he went through the store, and then when he started to leave, he realized, here's this guy still sitting here. Nobody has stopped to talk to him. He looks very unhappy. So he went over and said hello, found out about his book, and he decided to go ahead and take a TikTok video and upload it to TikTok. And that would have been the end of the story, other than all these people started watching it on TikTok. And by the next morning, it had reached over 15 million viewers. So all of them were going to buy his book. So he became overnight a bestseller. Well, that was the end of the story last week from Russell. On Saturday, with my granddaughter here, who's a school teacher, we were in the pool, and she said, "Did you hear about She loves TikTok. She goes, "Did you hear about the author that became this huge success on TikTok?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, yes, we just talked about it on Author Talk." And she said, "Did you know he was on the Today Show?" I'm like, "What? No." So I didn't see anything about it in that story. I did a search on Google after I came in and just searched for TikTok author on Today Show or something like that. And up came this article. Oh my God, it gives me chills just because when they found out about it on the Today Show, they contacted the author, who also reached out to the TikTok person that did the video. And so Today's Show had the author and the TikTok person on there telling the whole story. And now it has reached over 20 million viewers, and people are still watching this video. And I'm like, oh, what a great success story for this author who was sitting there in Kroger expecting to sell maybe 1 or 2 books all day. And now he has this great story to tell. The book, people are still buying the book. So I'm like, let's tell the ongoing story here of what's going on. And again, and I was in PR for my entire career, and I had my own company for 20 something years. And I can tell you that my biggest thing I always told people was, my clients especially, was you have to show up. You have to be there, and you're going to be there where 9 times out of 10 you will see no results, but that one time you'll miss it if you don't show up. And so that I think is just a beautiful illustration of this guy who's sitting in the Kroger store, not selling any books, kind of unhappy, and here somebody sees him and it goes from there. So it's a TikTok story, but it's also a story of the guy in Kroger who gets noticed. So, Russell, I wanted to thank you for bringing that to our attention to start with. I would have never known about it otherwise.
It's crazy. TD, you said you'd been on some other podcasts. What has been your experience on podcasts?
All in general, the podcasts, it's actually really fun. The time goes by really fast, so you have your quick little chat. It's a good opportunity to get your name out there and let people know about your books. Apparently, I got to go find a grocery store and hang out and look sad. Find a local TikToker and see if it can help me out. But the last couple podcasts have worked. There's been a little bit of movement on the books after each podcast, so that's been nice. So it's been relatively good. It's been fun and it's been helpful. So
I think one
can't
thing
argue.
is videos. This was a good illustration of how videos can go viral. So yes, it was a TikTok, and I think TikTok might be a great place to showcase your videos. But I think if having a video and showing it wherever possible would definitely be, for today's market, would definitely be a great marketing. And I love marketing. So marketing ideas excite me. I can't wait. I can't wait to do a video of somebody and post it and see what happens. Although I'm not a big TikTok person, so it wouldn't get the visibility that they did with this guy.
Yeah, I'm not a huge TikToker myself. I barely use Instagram or Facebook. That was one of my regrets when I started the author journey, was that I have intentionally kept my social circle small for all my life, and now it turns out that that maybe wasn't the best idea for this career choice.
Right. And TD, we actually had a long argument, Amy and I, last week. I know you're shocked, about whether authors need to get on TikTok. And in fact, my wife made comments about it this week that Amy and I need to get to discuss more. But that's another story. We need to get back.
Was Melinda on my side or your side?
No, she was. After she heard the story, she's like, "Well, why don't you get on TikTok?" I said, "Well, Amy says this, Amy says that." Well,
Honestly, the way it goes right now, every new stream is a new opportunity. So, get on TikTok, get on Instagram, get on Facebook, get on Twitter, get on, what's the new one they're calling it? Thread. Is that the new one now? Yeah, get on Thread.
Yeah.
Get on all the new ones. Everywhere you go is a new opportunity. You never know who you're going to find.
I was attending a conference, and I love going to author conferences, book signings. So the Texas Library Association is one of the largest ones in the United States. And I was there years ago when I looked around and I was looking for someone in particular. And there were so many other people that I actually forgot about the person I was looking for. And later it hit me. They weren't there, so I didn't see them, and I didn't look for them very long because there were so many other people that were there. And it really just, I'm like, okay, if you don't show up, they're not going to miss you. There's plenty of other people showing up, and they're the ones that are going to get the book sales. They're going to get the PR. They're going to get the marketing opportunity. They get all this stuff for showing up. And that's when that really hit me, and it became my message for a long time.
Well, Sandy, TD showed up today to talk about his book. So
I know. And I think that's great. I told you earlier, I loved the way your book title flows. Let me get back to it here. I've got it right. The brand of brotherhood. So TD, just tell us, we've done all the talking so far. Tell us about you. Who is T.D.Zummack, and why did you write a book to start with? And this is your second book.
This is my second book, yes. I'm a 48-year-old male from Western Canada who wanted to write his entire adult life. I had started my first book 20 years ago, and it didn't get published until 2022. But that's because it didn't get finished till November of 2021. So it was a long journey for the first book. just you start it, and then life happens, and you have children, and you have jobs, and whatever else, and you're trying to make a living, and you put it away for a little while, then you pick it back up and you try again. And then I finally I got fed up enough with the job I was working at currently that I said, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to finish this book, and I'm going to give it a try. So I sat down and I finished my first one. That one's called Amazing Grace. It's a mystery detective type thriller book. And then after that was done, I decided I wanted to start a second book, and I went with my choice for The Brand of Brotherhood. It's a Western genre book. My two favorite authors growing up were Agatha Christie and Louis L'Amour. So my first book was my homage to Agatha Christie, and my second one is my homage to Louis L'Amour. So
I wondered about that. So the first one was not actually a Western then.
it was not. No, it was a
Wow.
detective thriller, totally different genre completely.
So would you say that makes you like a combination between Agatha Christie and Louis L'Amour?
I would never say that. I would say I would say that I'm trying to find what's going to work best for me as far as genres go. Like I said, I wanted to write one of each and see how it went. I enjoyed writing the Western one a little more than I enjoyed writing my first one. That probably had a little more to do with the material, though. The Western's a little lighter. The detective thriller gets a little dark sometimes, but so the Western is a little lighter in the material, and it was a little more fun. But Amazing Grace will always be my baby. It's my first one. It's the one that got me started. It's the idea that I had forever, right? So
It's
yeah.
so amazing how many authors talk about their books like that, their children. So giving, even the whole publishing process is related to giving birth at times, because you're actually, your baby is this book there's a lot involved. So you actually are with Endless Sky Books. So how did you find the publisher?
Oddly enough, social media. they had a
Ah,
wonder they had a wonderful ad on Instagram that I took a shot with and answered the ad and sent my submission in. Found them that way. The first one was with a totally different publisher. So you're looking, if you're gonna liken it to giving birth, then giving birth is probably the little easier part. The harder part is finding the right OBGYN.
that's
You gotta find the right person, and I can't seem to find. So Endless Sky Books here has been fantastic. They've done a great job as far as marketing and promotion goes. So hopefully, if I have a third book in me, I can deal with Endless Sky Books again.
That's great. So was it through them that you met Mickey, your PR person?
Yes. Went through Endless Sky Books. They've set up my publicist, and he's gone ahead and set up everything as far as podcasts such as this.
Very good. Well, that's exciting because we all know Mickey, and he and Amy work together a lot. So when I saw saw his name mentioned, or not his name, but his company, I'm like, oh, that is too cool. So speaking of marketing, and what have you done? What have they done, or you done to market both of your books?
Well, marketing with the first one, my publisher may not have been the greatest choice. There wasn't a whole lot of marketing going on there. It's basically been me trying to get it out there on social media as much as I can. And as I said, I have a small circle, so I rely on my friends sharing it as much as I can, as much as they can to get it out there. With the second book, with Endless Sky, like I said, they've set me up with Mickey, the publicist. He's done a good job of setting up podcasts and phone interviews and the like. Is that I've been to a book fair trying to get it set up there. The book fair, I felt kind of like your story with your Kroger author. they
Uh,
didn't quite get they didn't quite get the crowd they were hoping for with the book fair, but I did all right. I still managed to sell a few copies and make enough that I paid for my table, so it was good.
well, that is,
So
if you can make enough money to cover your expenses, that's a great place to start anyway. So
exactly, yeah.
I
It's been a good
disagree with
start.
that. I got to tell you, I got to jump in here.
now,
I
why do you
disagree with that.
disagree with that?
Well, because I think that everything is controlled by algorithms in the world that we live in now,
Yes, you do.
and
You
that
do believe that.
algorithms take into account what you do online, and that's how you sell. For TD to maximize his goals on this book, He is relying upon algorithms and, excuse me, I got to cut. And he's relying upon algorithms and his reach to find readers in the world that are interested in the kind of book that he's written. And that's my problem that went about book fairs and things like that. And that's why I'm always disagreeing with everyone. Also, PD, I'm a contrarian, as I said before. Is it doesn't it doesn't affect your algorithm and maximizes your time to reach those readers in the world. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, offline sales, again, it's great to have the offline sales. As far as you're looking at that, you're selling your book, you're getting your reach, you're making a little more profit on it because you are selling the book right there and you're not going through somebody else. On the other hand, it'd sure be nice to have that Amazon number keep dropping so that I'm down into the single digits, right? And that doesn't happen with the offline sales. So it's a little of both. Which do you prefer? Do you want the offline sale? Do you want the online sale? You want them both. People have asked me, do you want me to buy it right from you or do you want me to buy it online? And honestly, I've told them, if you can buy it online, that'd be great because I'd like to see that number drop.
And then leave a
I want that number to
review.
keep coming down.
Reviews
It's
are everything.
yeah, that's one of those things that you obsess over now. When I started the idea of being an author, that's not what I thought I would be doing. I didn't think I'd be obsessing over numbers on Amazon, but that's where you're at. You're looking at it every day now, going, "Have I dropped any? Am I coming back down? Has someone purchased a book?" So you keep
So
looking to see.
one of the things Amy and I did, and she still does, is book launches. Did you actually have a book launch where you pushed to get that number down?
Honestly, I've never had a book launch. Out of the two books, we
Ah,
haven't had one. So,
let me introduce you to Amy, who is the book launch queen.
hi, Amy.
And
Hi.
seriously, she does an absolutely amazing job. And the ultimate goal is to have you become number one on Amazon. When Russell's book Murder for Me came out, we pushed and pushed to get him to number one, and we did. And you sold how many downloads did we have that you sold?
We got 10,000.
10,000. I mean, he's the most I've ever gotten to one of the main reasons is because Russell, in spite of his contrarianism, is he's got that algorithm thing going, and he worked it, and he taught me to look at this whole algorithm as what's working, what's not working. If it wasn't working, he didn't keep on doing it. He did went another direction, and because of that, we ended up having a huge. Now we had this was before we were doing everything online. We had an in-person event for his book launch, and he had like almost 200 people there. We gave away copies of the book, but they had to buy a cookie. No, we had to buy a cookie to get a copy of the book. So it was huge, huge, and so that on we started with that, and we've kept on going since then of having the book launches and having this success on Amazon. So I recommend you talk to Amy because that's something that would definitely boost your sales, especially because you've already got this great combination: Agatha Christie, Lewis Moore in Texas, obviously we're westerns, and especially West Texas where Russell is. So, so I do think you've got a great possibility for doing some very extensive marketing in Texas. So, Russell, before I go on to any more about the book, you said you wanted to ask TD some questions about
Yeah,
geography.
I have a couple of questions about your book. I'm actually really interested in your book. Uh, where did you place the story? Where is the story placed? I noticed the boys went out to California from Nebraska.
That's where the bulk of the story takes place, is in Northern California area around Sacramento at the time. Yes, they did start in Nebraska and they moved their way west, and they settled in a fictitious town just outside of Sacramento. But yeah, it takes place in the bulk of the Northern California area there. Yeah.
So, did you choose that? But are you familiar with it? Is that why you chose that area? Is because it's so beautiful and it has always
No,
been
that
like
area,
paradise?
honestly, the area just came with the story. A little bit of background on the story itself. I had a coworker who told me a story regarding his great grandfather and taking the train to leave Poland. And the story he told, I thought I could do some tweaking to it to make it a Western. Uh, I was looking for a good story to write as far as a Western goes, and I just didn't really have one yet. But I listened to his story and I got that little tweak on there. And then I started thinking this could be a pretty good Western. By the time my shift was done that day, I'd had my two brothers. I had their names figured out. I had it figured out what they were going to do in the story. I knew where they were going to go. I had to go home and do some research because I had to check out the Pacific Railroad and getting across. When did they finish the railroad? When did they get where they were going? So that's where the setting of the story and everything takes place. It all has to do with finishing the Transcontinental Railroad and how they get to Sacramento. So I did my researching on that, and then once I figured out how they were going to get there, I had to do a little research snooping around the Sacramento area and what was there at the time and what was going on from there. So I just did some research and figured it out.
So the two brothers, which I love this story. So that's how you got the whole story of the father taking the two brothers to the west, and along the way he dies, and a gunfighter is the one that helped raise them then.
Right.
And somehow, and I can't wait to read it myself to find out. And I'm not necessarily a big Western, but I do like a good mystery. It's like, what happened that one of them is on the right side of the law and the other one's not? So I can't wait to find out that story. It sounds like a great story. And so congratulations, because I mean, honestly, if I thought of writing a book, I can't imagine what story I could write about that hasn't already been told, hundreds of times. So I think that's great. I love the story, love the whole aspect of the book. And what are your future plans?
Well, future plans. Currently, I have 4 first chapters started, so I just need to see which one's going to speak to me and figure out which one we're going to finish off with. As far as the writing process itself goes, the one thing that I am confident in is that I have good stories. I may not always have the best writing process, and I may not always have, the $5 vocabulary to put down on paper, but I'm positive that I've got pretty good stories when I write them. So that's the one thing I'm confident at. So thanks for thinking it's a good story. I appreciate that.
That was like a great story. And I only know just what you were telling in the press release.
Right. So
There's more to this story that you don't tell, so I can't wait to read the whole book.
it's yeah, like I say, I think it's a good story. It's a good Western. It's got all the Western tropes in there. It's got your bright, shiny good guy, and it's got your big evil bad guy.
They just
Your
happen to be brothers.
well, the two brothers actually, yeah, one goes the wrong way, one comes the other way. They're really not battling one another at all throughout the book. They they struggle a lot with are they gonna stay brothers? Because obviously the one wants to stay on the right side of the law, the other one wants to go with the outlaw life, finds it easier to make his money that way than he does trying to scratch it in the dirt. So they try and argue back and forth about whether or not they're going to stay brothers. For people who say that they don't like westerns, I like to tell them that it's more of a family drama set in the West.
Oh, good. That makes.
I like that. That's a good sideways move.
Yeah.
I like that a
So
lot.
it's more of a family drama set in the West.
And
Although I did like Larry McMurtry, and he wrote what I would consider some Western books as well. But so that's great. So talk a little bit. Well, let me ask you: is there anything else about the book that you want to talk about?
As far as the book itself, I think, like I said, I think it's a good story. You've got your two protagonists in the brothers Warner. You've got Colt and Brick Warner. It basically follows a few years of their lives from the age of 10 and 8 all the way up to about, I think it's 21 and 20 by the time the book is done. and how they work their way to get along in the West. Colt is the older brother, and he finds, as you said, their father dies along the way, and he finds that he has a real sense of responsibility to look after his younger brother Brick and make sure that they survive and get where they need to go, based on their father's wishes. So he works real hard to get that done. Brick is the younger brother, and he finds that it's probably a little easier for him if he can do things outside the law and make his money that way. So he gets seduced a little bit by the outlaw life and decides that's the path he wants to take. They do have a old gunslinger who befriends them along the way and tries to teach them the ways to help them survive in the West. Uh, it'd be a great Kevin Costner part if it ever made a movie.
I
Just
love
throwing it out
Kevin.
there in the world, trying to make it manifest. Kevin Costner, get out there. So it'd
I
be a
love
great
it
part
when
for him.
you think of who the actor would be to play the role. Yes, I love that.
So the gunslinger tries to help them make their way through, and then they have some events that eventually bring them back together, hopefully, and they work it that way.
So,
Well,
can
that's
I
what
ask a couple of questions, Sandy?
Sure.
So, I have a question. As an author, when you're writing this book, what in the book woke you up at night working on it? Did you have that moment at 2 o'clock in the morning when you woke up with uh, uh, something in the book that you had to work on, or you had to change, or was different? I actually had a serious moment like this in one of my books.
I had one moment where I woke up at 4:30 in the morning and went to start writing. And honestly, I don't know. It's not. It wasn't like a vital part of the book. It wasn't a huge conflict, or it wasn't a big decision based on anything. It was just I was up at 4:30 to get writing, as I had to finish writing that piece, and it was part of the young love section, actually, where Colt meets his girl.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. So, do your characters speak to you when you're asleep or in the shower? Do you hear them speaking to you? And did your characters start to change what you planned to be in the book as they became multidimensional and in life?
As I was writing, things changed a little bit. You different aspects, who's gonna go where, what they're gonna do. Colt himself probably didn't change a whole lot. He always had the responsibility aspect. He runs pretty solid through the book that he's the straight and narrow responsible one who's trying to make his living the honest way. Brick changed a little bit. Brick started out as your typical younger brother who's curious about everything and what he wants to do, and then him getting he took some advice, or took some words that a couple of guys in the book that maybe weren't the most moral people said, and that's where he went. He decided he wanted to go with the outlaw life, so it went a little different that way, off track. As far as speaking to me, I think that happens with everybody when you get into your book and you're starting to write the book. I think there's aspects throughout your entire day where that happens, where you're in the shower and you're thinking this would be a great part to have put in the book. Hopefully, I remember by the time I'm done the shower. Or you're out doing, I deliver newspapers as well. So while I'm out delivering newspapers, that's a great time to think about things like that and get in your head and what's going to happen next and where it's going to go. So you have those thoughts of, yeah, I've got this wonderful section here that I think would be great, or I heard this and this would be perfect in this area. I think that happens a lot.
So, how did you work your dialogue? Did you worry about? I mean, one of the perfect things about where you centered your book is you didn't have to worry about Southern dialects or Texas dialects and how much do I write them in or how much do I not. It's a trap with authors when you work in the South or you write characters that are Southern because you. So how did you work that with your cowboy dialogue?
Well, a lot of, I did get lucky in that it's not based in Texas or anything like that. A lot of my dialogue, the way they speak, the way I write is the way I speak. My writing is very conversational writing. Like I said, there's not a lot of $5 vocabulary words in there. It's very conversational writing. A lot of my dialogue or my dialogue experience that I use to write in that book comes from movies that I've seen, books that I've read. Like I said, I'm a big Louis L'Amour fan, so I've read a lot of his books. So I think my characters talk a lot more similar to where some of his characters would, depending on where they were, uh, or what I've seen in movies based that way. I tried to get the dialogue as close as I thought I needed to for the period, so hopefully it worked out and people enjoy it.
So, did you? What was without telling any secrets, of course, ruining the book? So, what was? Do you chart your books out, or do you just start writing? Which way do you go? That's
I'm
so.
a pantser.
Okay.
Do
See,
everything
I'm
by
a
the seat of my
chart.
pants. Yeah,
I'm a planner. So,
yeah.
did the what is the biggest change that you didn't expect in the book from when you began to when you ended? Was it the course that the younger brother took?
Uh, I think I knew it's. Like I said, I knew when I started the story that one of them was going to go outlaw and one of them was going to stay honest. I think the biggest change may be that Colt ends up as a rancher. He's out there. His dad had a ranch at the beginning of the book and it failed miserably, which is why they were moving to Sacramento. So the fact that he's moved from there and now he's doing the exact same thing that his father did, rather than, I didn't make him become a lawman. I didn't make him become the guy who had to chase his brother. That might have been the biggest change, right? You want to have that. You want to have that story where you have typical Western would have been the good brother and the bad brother end up fighting one another at the end.
You don't
That would have
want
been
typical though. You didn't want to write typical.
Yeah, that would have been your typical. So the fact that he didn't end up like that, I think makes it a better story that way. The fact that they have somewhere to go in the future makes it a little bit better that way as well.
So, will you write more books about Colt and Brick?
I can. It's definitely wide open for that. I need, like I said, I need to have the inspiration to have a good idea.
Well, what you just said when you said that about they have someplace to go, I'm like, oh, so for future books, they have someplace to go.
Yeah, they definitely have somewhere to go. They're only, like I said, they're only 21 and 20 by the end of the book. They got a whole lot of life left, although not in that time period, maybe not a whole lot of life left. But they've got enough life left that you could write another book or two, get it in there and get it go from there.
Well, you
So
could actually write one specifically about Brick and his direction, or about Colt and his. I mean, you
correct.
could kind of separate them. I can
Yeah.
think of lots of ways that story could go, and that's great. I love that. I love that story. Russell, did you have any other questions?
No, it's Amy time.
It's Amy time. No, that's what Amy was going to ask. Last call.
Great to be. Nice to meet you. Good to talk to you. Can't wait to hear great results from you in the future.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, of course. Thank you for taking time out of your morning to come and hang out with us. So we'll do last questions, comments. Russell, what do you have?
Yes, I would like in his next book to bring in somebody from another part of the country into the next book, so he does have to struggle with dialogue.
Well, somebody from Texas moves up to California.
Russell's so mean. Sandy, what about you?
Any questions, did you say?
Questions, comments, statements before we close this
out?
Let
me just say that Fern will be back next week, I'm guessing. So this is the end of my 2-week stint on here, and I have enjoyed it immensely, including you, Russell. And in spite of all of your abuse, I've really enjoyed it. So I love you guys, and good to meet you again, TD.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
I love it. Well, you guys, we hope that you all have a fantastic Monday, a great rest of your week. But until next Monday, bye for now, everybody.